Good morning everyone, my name is Will and this is Lacey. We will be your MCs alongside the rest of the leadership team. We would like to welcome staff, students and parents to our 2020 online ANZAC Assembly. During today's assembly we are going to look at what ANZAC means, plus how and why ANZAC Day is remembered each year. ANZAC Day occurs on the 25th of April each year. On this day, we remember and honour all the men and women who have taken part in the wars, conflicts and peacekeeping operations around the world, including the ANZACs who fought at Gallipoli in Turkey during World War I. This includes all the men and women who are still serving in the Defence Force today. Lacey will now tell you what the meaning of ANZAC.
We will start this morning by talking about the word ANZAC. This is an acronym made from the initial letters of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. This was how Australian and New Zealand soldiers in Egypt were grouped before the landing on Gallipoli in April 1915. Even though the Gallipoli campaign was judged a disaster because of the loss of life suffered there, the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps has become a legend. The legend is that the Australian and New Zealand troops helped to create their country's reputations in the world through qualities of strength and bravery when faced with difficulty and hardship. The legend of these men who endured so much has given something of which Australians can be proud. Abia will now talk to you about the ANZAC spirit.
To cope with the tragic loss our country saw at Gallipoli, the men and women of Australia searched for the positives in their experience. To get through such a horrendous time, the soldiers had to develop a strong bond with each other and demonstrate extraordinary courage, endurance, and bravery. So, today, when you hear someone speaking about the ANZAC spirit, think of courage, bravery, endurance, mateship, determination, and sacrifice. These are the values that were demonstrated so strongly by the soldiers at Gallipoli and are important in defining Australia as a nation. Abby is now going to tell you about honouring ANZAC Day.
In 1916, 1 year after the Gallipoli landing, the 25th of April was officially declared as ANZAC Day. Each year there are dawn services around the country to remember our brave servicemen and women, as it was at dawn when the ANZAC legend began. Dawn services generally include the lowering of the Australian flag, 1 or 2 minutes of silence to remember the fallen, and the playing of the last post on the bugle. The last post was originally played during war to tell the soldiers the day was over. When the last post is played at memorial services, it symbolises that the duty of the dead is over and that they are able to rest in peace. I will now hand over to Robert to continue telling you how we honour our ANZACs.
ANZAC Day parades are also held, with ex-servicemen and women marching in uniform. Flowers and wreaths are laid on graves or memorials. A popular sprig of rosemary is worn on ANZAC Day. Rosemary is the remembrance, and poppies symbolise the bloodshed in war. During World War I, red poppies were the first plants to grow on the devastated French and Belgian battlefields. Soldiers used to say that the red colour came from all the blood spilt on the ground. On ANZAC Day, flags are lost at half-mast as a sign of honour, respect and mourning. Lucy will now tell you why ANZAC Day is not all about history.
ANZAC Day is not all about history. Even though Australia is not at war, many Australians are currently serving in wars and peacekeeping operations overseas. ANZAC Day is a particularly important date to Australians with friends and family members in the Australian Defence Force, ADF. On ANZAC Day, many families think of their mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, brothers or sisters who are in war zones or on peacekeeping missions overseas. There are currently thousands of Australian defence personnel based around the world in many locations. Australians are working with other nations such as New Zealand, France, Canada and the USA to maintain peace and stability. Peacekeeping is a major role of the Australian Defence Force. Some of the tasks performed by ADF personnel can be as simple as providing dental and medical care to locals or veterinary assistance to livestock on farms. These acts, although seemingly simple, can change people's lives. Izzy will now share a short video with you.
Our SRC will now lay a wreath in remembrance of all those soldiers who have fought and died. While we are doing this, we will play Can You Hear Australia's Heroes Marching to listen to and reflect upon.
Can you hear Australia's heroes marching? Can you hear them as they march into eternity? There will never be a greater love. There just couldn't be a greater sacrifice. There just couldn't be.
Can you hear Australia's heroes marching? The ones who fought and gave their all?
Roxy will now tell you about the Ode.
At many Anzac Day service, a special poem is read. This is called the Ode. The poem explains how people will never forget all those brave men and women who give their lives fighting for their country. Akira will now read the Ode.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget. I will now hand over to Rafe.
The last post will now be played. This will be followed by 1 minute silence to think about why we're here today. At the end of the 1 minute of silence, we will play the revelry. Would everyone now please stand?
Thank you all for attending our special Anzac Day Assembly today. We will now sing the national anthems for both Australia and New Zealand. Please stand.
seated, I'd like to invite Mr. Lovering to say a few words as we end our assembly.
Thank you everyone for sharing our ANZAC Day assembly with us online this year. Tomorrow is ANZAC Day and usually a good opportunity for us to come together as a school community to march through the streets of Katherine, and unfortunately that can't happen this year. So I've been talking to our students and I've encouraged them, if possible in the morning, to take part in your own dawn service at 6 o'clock in your driveway. And we're encouraging, if you do that, for you to take a photo and to share it with us. You can send it to Miss Renee at her email address, renee.lace@ntschools.net. But thank you again for taking the time to reflect with us as we remember the Anzacs in 2020.